Hey there, CJ students, and welcome to Notes via Edpuzzle. Remember, whatever goes on my paper goes on your paper. From time to time, the video will stop and ask you a question based on what was said or done in the video. Make sure to answer the question carefully, as each question is a grade. You can always pause or rewind before answering. Today, we're going to talk about the absolute value and review some divisibility rules. The absolute value of a number is its distance away from zero. The value of a number is the absolute value. For example, this right here where it says bar -5 bar is read as the absolute value of -5. Because the absolute value is simply the distance from zero, our absolute value is always going to be positive. So the absolute value of -8 is equal to 8. Meaning A goes right here. The absolute value of -1 is equal to 1. Meaning B goes above 1. The absolute value of 3 is still 3. Meaning C goes above 3. The absolute value of -4 1/2 is still positive 4 1/2. So meaning D goes right in between there. And the absolute value of 6 is still 6. So no matter what, the absolute value is positive because it's just about the distance from zero. So if we take a look at the absolute value of these numbers, they're always going to be positive. The absolute value of -6 is 6, 18 is 18, 34 is 34, -67 is still 67, -128 is, positive 128. Now, absolute value is different from the opposite of a number. The opposite of a number is saying, hey, if I'm -6, I'm actually 6. The opposite of 18 is -18. The opposite of 34 is -34. The opposite of -67 is 67. The opposite of -128 is positive 128. So it's important to remember that the absolute value is always going to be positive and it's the distance from zero, whereas an opposite is simply the opposite of the number that we've been given, whether it was positive becoming negative or it was negative becoming positive. Here you have two examples that explain why the absolute value of -4 and the absolute value of 9 are respectively 4 and 9, because -4 is 4 spaces from zero and 9 is 9 spaces from zero. Now, there is one time where the absolute value answer will actually be negative. Sometimes there's going to be a negative sign outside the absolute value bar, as we can see in this picture right here. That's saying, what's the absolute value of 6, and then what's the opposite of that answer? Well, the absolute value of 6 is equal to 6, and the opposite of 6 is -6. So that is why the opposite of the absolute value of 6 is equal to actually -6. So basically, if the negative sign is on the outside of these bars, then your answer is also going to be negative. Let's do a quick check. What is the absolute value of 5? What is the absolute value of -5? It is still positive 5 because remember, absolute value is just space distance from zero. Now, what is the opposite of the absolute value of -5? That is indeed -5. Remember, if the negative sign's on the outside, then your answer will have a negative in it. Number 4 is the opposite of the absolute value of 5. Again, that's -5. And in the last part of this video, you're just going to finish this worksheet by practicing some of your divisibility rules. So you have your anchor chart here that tells you how to divide by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. And we'll go ahead and do one right here. Is 45 divided by 2? Well, if I look up here, the rule for 2 is if it's even, if the last digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, or 0. So, no, I would say no. Is it divisible by 3? I look up. The sum of the digits is divisible by 3. Well, 45 is 4 plus 5, which equals 9. So, yes. And this is me showing work. So that's what you're going to do for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to do it for, in 9 and 10, you're going to do it for those 4 numbers. That's it. Have a good one. Finishing this video is your math task number 2 homework, making sure that every problem is done.